alluded to it in topic 1 with WWE2K24, but a few weeks ago, Raw was on Netflix doing their debut there, and WWE2K25 was teased, and as of recording, the teaser, whatever initial release or announcement or whatever you want to call it, is going to be coming up on the 28th. So I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit about the roster, some additions I'd like to see, maybe talk about DLC, who I think is going to be making it in there, and then unfortunately some people who are not going to be making it into the game. So first things first, shout out to the SmackDown Hotel. They always do a very good compiled list of the rosters with like their ratings and the images and rumors of like who's going to make it and all that stuff. So I have them pulled up right now for the 2K24 roster to go over like new people who showed up and whatnot. So let's do that first. Let's talk about people who showed up in 2K24 who were not part of 2K23. Mainly going to focus on the current day superstars, not the legends. Sorry, Pat McAfee gang, not going to talk about you guys either. But superstars that we had in addition, or relatively new rather, this year. So we had Bronson Reed, long overdue. Unfortunately, that release in between kind of messed that up. So Bronson Reed, Brooks Jensen, Carlito, who made his return, Channing Stacks Lorenzo, Chelsea Green, CM Punk was the big one, Dragon Lee, which should have been on the base game, but we'll, whatever. Duke Hudson, Fallon Henley, Isla Dawn, Jade Cargill, Joe Coffey, Josh Briggs, Kairi Sane making a return, Lyra Valkyria, another one I think should have been on the base game, Mark Coffey, Maxine Dupree, Nia Jax, Pat McAfee, Sanga, Tegan Knox, The Fiend, Thea Hale, Wolfgang, and that's it. So, some good ones there. I mean, good NXT representation, kinda, with some additions there. Glad to see Isla make it there, and Bronson, and Dragon Lee and Lyra. But, yeah, it was a little weird having some of the superstars in the late DLC, which I think may lead into this year's DLC, but we'll keep that just for a moment. So let's talk about the people who unfortunately will be not making a return. Pat McAfee gang, I don't know if you're making a return, so sorry there, but let's talk about the superstars who don't work with the company anymore who won't be making a return. So I apologize for the delay and lag as I'm scrolling through this list. So Baron Corbin, the first one here that I see, unfortunately being released this year, won't make it back. Beth Phoenix is a weird one. I don't know if she's still under a Legends deal or whatnot, if she's, free, not working there, who knows. Brock Lesnar, yeah, he's not making it. He got taken out last year due to all the shenanigans and was only part of the showcase mode, so good riddance there. Cameron Grimes, R.I.P. buddy, getting released. Who else on this list is not gonna be here? Sorry again for the delay. Damon Kemp, NXT superstar, brother of Gable Steveson, is part of No Quarter Catch crew. He won't be making it back. Dijak won't be making a return. Drew Gulak after his stuff. So far, so good as we reach the H's. Indy Hartwell, that's a heartbreaker. She won't be making a comeback with her release. Jinder Mahal not in there. Oh my god, all the Cenas in here, including Juan Cena. I think the Good Brothers are still there. They're still kicking around, right? MVP will be out. Omos, I think, will still be in it. He's just over in Japan right now. I think Noah, right? Is tag champ. probably should have written out this list beforehand. Poor Ricochet won't be making a comeback. Ronda Rousey will not be back. Sanga won't be back. 1 year in, 1 year out. Scripps, a.k.a. Reggie, a.k.a. Ooh, what's he going by now on the independent? Sydney something. Know him. Tamina's a weird one. She still makes it in the games even though she's not around. No more Tegan Knox, unfortunately. What a ball drop there of like opportunity. No Veer. No Xia Li. She's over in TNA now, or will be shortly. Alright, it's not awful. Not all that bad in terms of main superstars that won't be making it back. I thought that was going to be a little bit more heartbreaking than it was. I mean, don't get me wrong, heartbreaking, but like not astronomical numbers of like, holy shit, they're gone. So with the build up to 2K25, we've had a few roster confirmations just quickly in terms of screenshots. Damian Priest was one. CM Punk, Cody, Bailey. I think there might have been one more screenshot that's been released. But once again, shout out to SmackDown Hotel and a lot of the 2K community. But they start speculating once the new games comes up, and pretty much SmackDown Hotel is like shout out everybody who's been in promotional videos leading up to 2K25 of like, who do you think's going to be on the cover? Who's going to be this? Blah, blah, blah. They've written down all those people, and there's some good names in there. There's a lot of NXT talent like Obafemi, Kalani Jordan, Ethan Page. There's a few other ones that, of course, I'm not thinking of, that they're like, oh, well, they're a part of this media thing that leans towards them being in there. And I want to say yes, and I want to be excited like for those people. I would absolutely love all those talents listed to be in the games, but in terms of like NXT roster, it's been like kind of like a trickle thing. Like they'll just pour a few in there. Like in terms of last year's NXT roster, there weren't that many new people. You had Jensen, Briggs, and Fallon. They were new there. You had Gallus, I believe, making their first appearance, which I said earlier. Other than that, it was all repeats of like people who have been in the games before, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, technically Lyra's here under the DLC, which she was already main roster when she got to the game, but they counted her as NXT here. So like they don't add a lot of people year in and year out. So I don't know, like for who I think should be in terms of additions for the NXT roster specifically, Kalani I think makes sense. She's been NXT North American Women's Champion. She was the first one, and she's been around for a while. Same with Sol Ruka. I think those are the two big ones that I can think from the women's division. Kiana James is not NXT anymore. She's main roster, so like I can't really count that one. I don't know why I shouted her out yet, but like she should have been part of this NXT edition in 2K24, in my opinion. Obafemi's a great shout, especially with him being current NXT champion. Granted, when 2K24 came out, Lyra Valkyria was NXT Women's Champion for a little while, and they didn't have her in there. Roxanne, I believe, was the most recent champion they had listed. So Oba, I'd like to see. He's been around for a while. See, it's weird because I don't know where their cutoffs are of like, this is our roster that's made type of thing. Because if you look at something like CM Punk and Jade Cargill, Jade was the Rumble, which would be around this time period. Punk was Survivor Series. So relatively quick turnarounds. Granted, they were also both DLC. Punk obviously being Punk, with his status, that was a huge name. They rushed him to get to the first DLC. Jade wasn't until the second to last DLC. So it's weird of like who makes it, who doesn't. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try and be smart here, and I'm actually going to pull up WWE.com and look at the roster pages and see if that can jog my memory here as we go into the wee hours of the night as I'm recording this. Excuse me. So NXT. So I'm trying to think, at least in terms of, like I said, big names that I feel are more likely to make it. So once again, Kalani, Soul, Oba, Metaphor ladies got to be in there. Maybe all of them, actually. Oro too. So Oro, Jakara Jackson, Lash Legend. I think those three should definitely be in there because they've been kicking around for a while. Do you get Alexis King? Perhaps. He's been around for quite some time. You could put Riley Osborne in there to finish up the Chase U section. Yeah. There's a lot of names in here I'd love to see, but I just don't feel super confident that a lot of them are going to make it. Like, I'd love to see, well, I mean, keeping up with NXT, I see most of these people, you know, here and there. Like, let's see. I'd love to see, well, not love to see, but OTM could make it. Charlie Dempsey and at least some form of the Quarter Catch crew could make it. Dante Chen would be a fun one, but I don't know if he's big enough. Idris Anofe and Malik Blake. They've been a tag team palling around for a while. Eddie Thorpe. Hank and Tank would be a fun entrance. Jada Parker. Javon Evans would be phenomenal just to be bouncing around with him. I already talked about Lexus. I don't know why Miko Satomura has not been in any of the games. I know she hasn't wrestled for WWE in a while, but I think the last time she wrestled was maybe 2 years ago. Worlds Collide. I don't know. I don't know what we're missing, why she hasn't been included in the titles. I talked about Ethan Page. Sean Spears would be cool. Stephanie Vaquer and Julia and Zarya being the new crew and batch of ladies would be nice as well. But I don't know. In terms of new for the main roster, I think definitive, or not definitives, but I feel more likely people. Andrade was part of last year's Rumble. He's got to be in there. I think Tamatonga, Tongaloa, Jacob Fatu are part of the new bloodline. I think they got to be in. Naomi being part of last year's Rumble, returning. Mentioned Kiana James earlier, her being on the main roster now. I think it's too soon for the Machine Guns, at least in terms of base roster. They could be potentially DLC. Authors of Pain, do we bring them back? I'm trying to think of the timetable of when they even returned with Final Testament. They were around at Mania, so they're I'd say they're a good possibility. Wyatt 6. All those superstars except for Eric Rowan have been in, so you just got to give them new scans. So Rowan, Eric Redbeard, whatever you want to call him. I think he can make it. Elektra Lopez, the SmackDown Hotel, has also in here. Sure. I don't know. She hasn't really done much, unfortunately. So those seem to be the big standouts. Unfortunately, like I said, I think the Machine Guns, if they make it to 2K25, I think they'll be DLC. So, speaking of DLC, who do I think will be DLC? So, would love the Machine Guns to be DLC. Now, I'm not going to talk about legends and stuff because okay, that's a lie. I might talk about one legend who might even be in base game and might not be DLC. Let's talk about her now. Victoria. Victoria's signed a Legends deal. I know she was on SmackDown recently. Not that that means anything, but I think she'll be making a return to the games, whether it's base roster or DLC down the line. Cool to see. Not the biggest Victoria fan. I think the last time we saw her wrestle in WWE was that Pandemic Rumble, 21, 20. But she had, I don't know, she was cool. She was decent. So I think she'll be making a comeback. Sorry, back to DLC of current superstars. I highly doubt we're going to see Penta. I'd love to see Penta, just obviously with his presentation as well, but I don't. It's so tough, right? Because we just said Jade. Oh, Jade was part of the Rumble, and she was part of the later DLC. So, but also, like I said, Andrade and Naomi were also part of the Rumble and not part of that later DLC. So it's like, Jade was also signed a little bit before the Rumble, so maybe the cutoff was before then. Or she just went to get scanned because she was hired. I don't know. I don't know how long Penta has been signed. Maybe he was able to go to 2K headquarters, get scanned, all that jazz. If so, it'll be hype as shit, but he'll be one of the last DLCs. Trying to think. I talked about the NXT ladies. Love to see Julia. Love to see Stephanie Becker. Love to see Zarya. Might be too new. Julia debuted NXT No Mercy back in September, so could be a late DLC. Becker and Zarya were not long after. So God, you could do an NXT pack. It's just, if they are, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be till later. And it's like, it's great that they're in there. I was waiting most of the year for that Global Superstars pack with Lyra, with Dragon, with Jade, with whoever else was in that pack. I'm so sorry. That was my most favorite pack of this year. The rest of the legends, it's nice to have them, but I don't really play as them. It's just nice, extra options in GM mode, type deal, at least how I play. So it doesn't really appeal to me from an exhibition standpoint or matches, making it there. If it's current superstars, that's more my jam. So while I'd like to see them in there, I don't know. That's another iffy gray area. We'll have to see. Same with, WWE and TNA. They've had a little bit of a crossover year this year. Now they announced, as of recording maybe last Thursday, they were like, oh, we've signed an even bigger deal or expanded it or whatever the hell. And people are like, oh, there's going to be a TNA pack in WWE2K25. I don't think so. I'm so sorry. I know that would be hype as shit. I don't think that's happening. I don't think you're getting Hendry. I don't think you're getting Jordan Grace. I don't think you're getting the Rascals, even though I love it. I don't think you're getting, Josh Alexander. Well, he hasn't been in NXT or the crossover yet. But, you're not getting any of those superstars who have crossed the line for old TNA. You're not getting a Rosemary. You're not getting Alex Hammerstone. You're not getting a Kazarian. You're not getting... who else has showed up? Masha Slamovich. You're not getting these people. While it'd be cool, that's a whole nother can of worms, I think, that they got to figure out legally. Granted, I'm not that, higher up. It'd be a huge selling point, potentially, to have that available. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of anybody else who has made their debut on the main roster in terms of returning superstars, new people, and this feels awful that my brain is just mush where I'm like, I can't think of anything. So per usual, we're going to do the usual scroll over on the WWE to see if anybody catches my attention here. We already talked about Punk, obviously, being the big one for last year. Joe Tessitore, don't think he's going to be making commentary. I know commentary last year was a 3-man booth. You had Cole, you had Corey, you had Byron. It's probably going to be the same. If not a 3-man, then a 2-man booth. I'd love to have Wade in there. I'd love to have Wade Barrett in there. It's funny because sometimes when the dialogue's going, there's one line that you kind of hear and it's that sounds really like Wade. I don't know why. I don't think you're going to get Pat McAfee on commentary. One thing that they did in 2K24 that was hype as shit is they finally added different ring announcers. So like Samantha Irvin, hey, another one who will be out next year, unfortunately. Samantha Irvin was on one show. Alicia Taylor was on one show. Mike Rome was on one show. So that was nice that they added that variety there. You'll probably get Mike. You'll probably get Alicia back. I don't know. Maybe Lillian? Doubt it. But they'll keep that. It would be cool, really cool, if they did different commentaries, like commentary teams on each show. That's a lot of work, though. That is so many voice lines that those guys and gals need to record. I don't know if that's possible. That's a lot of time off their plate, so it might still, and probably will still be, just the one commentary team. We could dream. It'd be awesome to have Vic and Booker on NXT, and Wade and Joe on SmackDown. Probably be Wade and Corey just for time purposes, and then Pat and Michael and Pat on Raw. But I don't think that's going to happen. It'll probably be the same 3-man booth, and that'll be what it is. So getting through the Monday Night Raw roster, nope, it looks like all people there that we are to expect. Let me get through this SmackDown roster real quick. I mean, the Guns are the big new people, right? Making the jump over from TNA. I don't think... Why is Cedric Alexander on that roster? He's NXT. I can't think of anybody else besides the new bloodline like we talked about in terms of newer people. Yeah, so those are the big new names there. So like I said, some highly likely, others not so sure about. It's just that weird thing of timelines. Who makes it? Who doesn't? What's their cutoff? Are they popular enough? Who's to say? So, going to be excited for all the additions that they do add, obviously. Looking forward to the new bloodline, seeing their animations in there. That'll be great. The NXT people that I talked about, Oba, want to see his stuff. Want to see Sol Ruka. Want to see Kalani Jordan. Would love to see the new squad of ladies, but not likely. If we're going to dream big, let's dream big. Machine Guns and Penta, late DLC. Legend-wise, it's anybody's guess. I really don't know who has a Legends contract, who doesn't. I know Shamrock was back last year. Dudley's were back last year. We already talked about Victoria being in probably this year. Don't recall anybody else signing a Legends deal this year. I guess you could get Jesse Ventura, get him in there. That'd be cool. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. 2K25, let me know who you're looking forward to in the roster, or rather what game modes, improvements you're looking forward to. It's been teased of intergender matches, which not a selling point for me, but fun and interesting for, player options. I'm excited for people to have that available to them. So let's see what other additions come into play. I'm counting down today's to next Tuesday with the reveal, so I can then impatiently wait until WrestleMania season, hopefully when this drops. But yeah. Well, guys, this has been another episode of the Wait Where We Talk About podcast. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and you can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011 when we go live. You can drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live, so you join on the fun and conversation with us. But if you can't catch live, that's a-okay. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support the show, like, shares, subscriptions, reviews, whatever it is. It may seem small, but if you take the time to do that, we would love and appreciate you for it. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, for the podcast. Thanks for being patient with me as well with the delay, getting back into the new year, but we're ready to go. Whoosh. To the moon. No, Cameron Grimes. But just keep the momentum rolling with this. Have some fun with it. That's the main thing. And share some laughs and hopefully have some good conversations. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.